Yeah, what is going on, guys? You're checking out an all-new The RCWR Show coming at you for Sunday night of December 16th, 2017, as we are talking WWE TLC tables, ladders, and chairs fallout. Come one, come all, join me live for this next little bit as we are talking about the pay-per-view fallout. Woo! I gotta tell you, what a hell of a finish. What a hell of an ending. A lot of stuff. Honestly, overall, I thought the pay-per-view was kind of decent, but there were a lot of areas that I honestly felt, I really wish we could have put a lot more emphasis in this area, or hey, it would have been really cool if we kind of went in this direction instead. Really, I'm just was thinking about some of the spots that we saw tonight, some of the finishes, and we'll dive into all of it in just a little bit. You know how we've been doing it here since 2011, covering the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. And as always, when WWE wraps up their pay-per-views, we come at you as soon as it goes off the air. But I was really trying to look at things from the standpoint of, okay, let's set up about 5 weeks going into the Royal Rumble. How are we going to do this? And there were some areas that just kind of left me a little bit disappointed, but overall I thought that the pay-per-view was decent. If there were those of you that honestly had sat out on tonight's pay-per-view because you honestly have not liked what you've been getting from the WWE product as far as Raw and SmackDown goes for these past several weeks, hey, you're not alone. I totally understand where you're coming from, but if you ask me if this is a pay-per-view that you should go out of your way and check out, maybe you could kind of feel a little bit reinvested, try to feel a little bit reignited, if you will, then I definitely would say go out of your way and check it out, as there's definitely some really good matches, and we're gonna go on ahead and we're gonna dive into it. Hey, before we do want to let you guys know that we're streaming at you guys live on YouTube, and we're also streaming at you live via the RCWR Show app that is available for free in Android marketplaces. Just use the keywords the RCWR Show. Love interacting with you guys. Get at me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. Now, shout out to our YouTube audience. In case you had missed it last week, we are no longer going to be having the YouTube chat that's enabled. We've been dealing with some serious trolls for the past couple of weeks, and it just really got totally out of hand. So as a result of that, and this is in particular a shout out to our longtime listeners, we now have a Discord private chat room that's set up for you guys. This is honestly something that I have been meaning to roll out ever since I had put the final touches on our Patreon page, but I never got around to doing it, and I actually got pushed, got motivated, so much so by what went down the past couple of weeks, but more so from friends, colleagues. They were like, dude, go with a Discord chat, man. It's more intimate. You can really have a more hands-on approach with your listeners. You can filter out all the bullshit, you know, who's really solid. So I've already reached out to some of you guys. You've already gotten private invites to that Discord chat. If you are a long-time listener, I'm eyeballing guys like Gino. I know Austin, we hooked Austin up. There's a lot of names that escape me right now, but if you've yet to get your private link to that chat room, make sure if you got Twitter and or Facebook, you get at me at the RCWR Show and get at your boy. Let me know what's going on with you, and I'll definitely give you the hookup. All right, so yeah, you know what, we're gonna kind of go back and forth. We'll definitely start at the very top, but I mean, how about that damn women's championship match triple threat? Woo, man, Asuka, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. I gotta throw it down to these women. These women went in there and they went into this match not with kid gloves on. They went into this TLC, it really was a ladder match when you break it down. They really went into this bad boy and say, you know what, the men can go into this type of a match and they can really throw it down. They put it all out there on the line. Well, you know what, we're gonna go on ahead, we're gonna go out there as well, and we're gonna put it all out there on the line. And I tell you, this was, I mean, take my breath away, why don't you? This, my God, if there was one match I had to point out from the entire TLC card tonight to say, hey, you've got to go out of your way, you've got to watch this match from beginning to end, I would say the ladder match for the Women's Championship, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I would say go out of your way, check that out. My hat's off to those women. They really went into that match. And I dare say they really cranked it up a notch to the point they made some of the other matches that played out earlier during the night. And there's a couple that I looked at just kind of flabbergasted, scratching my scalp. I'm eyeballing you, Seth Rollins taking on Dean Ambrose. I mean, they really just took it to a whole new level. Very, very pleased with all of those women. So we have a new SmackDown Women's Champion, and it is Asuka. Asuka, the new Women's Champion. So, I mean, great back and forth. Closing moments of this matchup. We saw a situation occur where Asuka appeared to be out of the equation as Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, they're jockeying for position. They're fighting over that ladder. They both are climbing to the top on respected ends. They reach up to that top and they're slugging it out. All of a sudden, we see Ronda Rousey. She comes into that bad boy. She didn't walk down the ramp into the ring slow or anything of that nature. She just basically, she kind of had a power walk going on. And by the time the girls realized what was going on, it was already too late. Ronda Rousey was already in the ring. And they're looking at her like, what is she going to do? What exactly is she going to do? And we see Ronda Rousey just basically push the ladder with the girls on it, send them crashing outside of the ring, over the ropes. Those girls pretty much laid out. Ronda, as far as she's concerned, she's done her job. Payback, the ultimate bitch. Like, that's it. So she's done. She rolls out. And pretty much this sets up Asuka to set up the ladder and then climb up to the very top and secure the SmackDown Women's title to become your new SmackDown Women's Champion. You know, I gotta tell you, being a fan of Asuka, definitely familiar with her work before she came into the WWE, was in love with the way she was being utilized down in NXT, and there were so many of us that have so many fond memories of her time in NXT. I mean, sister went undefeated for almost 2 years down there in NXT, a hell of an impressive record. And when we finally see her come up the main roster, we are nothing but ecstatic for this young woman. We feel that nothing but good things is going to be happening. All right, you know, here's somebody that we can really be invested in. And you just kind of were left with that impression that, hey, since Triple H was able to do what he was able to do and really protecting Asuka down there in NXT, kind of masking her flaws. I mean, come on, we all know her English up until this point hasn't really been above average, right? But we felt that by the time she came up to the main roster, okay, you know what, based on everything we've seen of her thus far from NXT, you know what, she's going to be in good hands. She's going to do just fine. And she started off okay. But then a lot of us were kind of throwing in the towel once we saw her streak come to an end at WrestleMania against the hands of Charlotte Flair. But there were some of us that still kind of felt, no, you know what? This is just the price that she has to pay. She's going to rebound. Just wait and see. And then we're waiting, we're patiently waiting, and nothing ever happens with regards to Asuka. And so we can all be in agreement, those of us that remember her tenure down in NXT, because can we be honest about something? Not everybody is fully invested in NXT. Not everybody is watching NXT. Even though there are so many of us that watch any and everything wrestling, any and everything we can get our hands on with regards to the WWE product, there are so many of us that, and yeah, I don't watch NXT. I just watch the flagship shows and the main WWE pay-per-view. That's it. All right. So you've already just got to go with that notion. Well, not everybody is hip. Not everybody knows what's going on with the NXT, right? But those of us that have been following the NXT brand
and we saw what was becoming of Asuka shortly after her WrestleMania match with Charlotte, we're going, okay, what the hell? What's going on, WWE? Seriously. And it just seemed like that wave of momentum that she had rode NXT going to the main roster, it just burned itself out. And I think, honestly, you can kind of trace the beginning of the end during the whole Mixed Match Challenge Season 1, which was really stupid when you think about it, because, yes, the matches, they definitely were solid. The matches were definitely on point. But you know what was very disappointing? What was disappointing was when they added that stipulation that if Asuka lost at any time during the Mixed Match Challenge tournament, that basically that would be officially a knock at her win-loss record. That would be chronicled, is the right term I'm thinking of. That would go down in the books as her first official defeat, right? So you hear that and you're going, oh, well, surely Asuka's going to win this then. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. And sure enough, so ever since they had did that, you know, a lot of us kind of felt, definitely myself included, really felt that, okay, this is the beginning of the end. That streak is going to come to an end. I'm not sure if it's going to be at WrestleMania or maybe after WrestleMania, but it's coming a lot sooner than later. And it's so funny because a lot of people felt that, well, maybe once Ronda Rousey comes into the WWE, maybe they'll feed an undefeated Asuka to Ronda Rousey. That sounds like it'd be a really good matchup. I mean, here were a lot of people just playing dream bookmaker, and it's amazing how things played out over the course of several months. But, you know, who would have thought that eventually a situation was going to occur where, and let's be honest, we saw Asuka in some very silly, questionable segments. Who would have thought that her teaming up with Naomi, and we all just kind of moaned and groaned when that little tag team had came about together. You know, we were like, wow, is this the end of her? Is this the end of her on the main roster? Like, who's the next flavor of the month going to be? Well, you know, how's it going to play out? And if you would have told me that all of these growing pains was going to culminate in what we got tonight with Asuka on top of the women's division, I would tell you, wow, really? And it's very interesting how everything is just playing itself out when you really stop and you think about it. So, I mean, when you look from the standpoint of going into your next batch of episodes of SmackDown, going into the Royal Rumble, now you've got a nice shot of adrenaline as far as excitement goes, because Asuka is now your women's champion. But then you've got that dynamic there between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, where, you know, these two, and I like the way that this match was really kind of playing about, because Charlotte and Becky, they both felt as though they had a lot to prove to each other. They felt as though Asuka was just the third wheel in this whole feud, and that Asuka was irrelevant, had nothing to do with them. Quicker they can get her out of the equation, the sooner that it can pretty much come down to the two of them. And so there were many points throughout this match where we had saw Asuka, you know, not even a factor, where she was made an afterthought. They made quick work of her and she was an afterthought. But I also loved those sick ass spots where Asuka was getting in some good licks, man. I love the spot where we had Asuka and Becky. They were fighting in the corner and there was a ladder laid out in the ring. And basically we saw Asuka pretty much do like a kind of like a backflip or something like that, that she had did to Becky Lynch, and Becky went crashing back first to the ladder, and all you see is Asuka just kicking back, smiling, and she's laughing, and you're going, my God, sister, you are so damn sadistic. What the hell? Loved it. I ate that up. A little bit later on, she, you know, is laying in heavy on Charlotte. I'm eating that up. I'm loving that as well. We saw some nice spots where Charlotte, high risk maneuver, did a flip and went crashing through a table that was set up outside of the ring. I mean, these girls, they crashed hard, just like the men in these type of matches. And, you know, I should say I should not be surprised. I really shouldn't, because anytime it's Charlotte or you throw a Becky in there, it's history has kind of shown, you know, they're going to rise to the occasion. But it just really felt like they really took it to another level for as long as I've seen these girls on the main roster right now. But now that you've got the new dynamic on SmackDown in the form of a new women's champion, you've also got Becky Lynch, Charlotte, unresolved issues right there, okay? So they both, you're thinking, they both gotta want to get their hands on Ronda Rousey. And then once they get their hands on Ronda Rousey, they can kind of come on back and tell their respected story of just exactly who is the best between the two of them, right? Because they can make the argument, well, hell, if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey interfering in this match, we would have been okay. One of us definitely would have become the women's champion. It's like, well, how will we ever know now, right? Unless you do a rematch with those three women, right? That is, if Asuka's even going to be able to hold on to the title that long whenever a situation does arise where she retains, and okay, well, we're going to have ourselves a TLC 2018 rematch for the SmackDown Women's title. Very interesting dynamics that's going on when you really stop and think about it. So I would imagine coming up on this week's SmackDown, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, they both are going to lay claim. They're going to have some unresolved, unfinished business with Ronda Rousey, and they're going to try to figure out how they can get a piece of her. I would think that Becky Lynch is not going to immediately... I would be shocked, honestly, if a situation were to occur leading up to the Royal Rumble where Becky Lynch wants a rematch for her title, if she invokes the rematch clause storyline-wise. I'd be really surprised if something like that were to go down. I think both women are going to be jockeying for position. They're going to want to fight Ronda Rousey. And I'm just kind of seeing something play out where maybe at the Royal Rumble, it's going to be Ronda, Becky, Charlotte in a triple threat match. Could very well go down that way. Then you look at what's going on with Asuka, and I got to tell you, when you go back and you look at the beginning of how this pay-per-view had started off, you now can't help but wonder if maybe the female number 30 entrant into this year's Royal Rumble may eventually have a match, per se, against Asuka. A little bit of food for thought right there. Let's go ahead. Let's cover the card from the very top. Always do appreciate you. Oh, wow. And right there, right on cue, I dropped my light. Forgive me there, guys. Hang on a second. Wow, that's technical. Anything can happen when we're live on the air. But hey, we keep right on going. We're nice and smooth. Let's keep right on going. As always, as I was about to say before, we had that technical difficulty. Appreciate you guys that join us every single time we are live. If you're enjoying the broadcast so far, please make sure you go out of your way. And make sure if you haven't done so, you do subscribe. Shout out to those of you accessing via YouTube. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Click on the bell notification so you never miss out on any and all new content that's going to be coming your way. Somebody had asked me the other day, Lee, you know, what's going on with another Pro Wrestling Crate review, man? You got another one coming up? Yes, mine was actually mailed out right before the weekend. So I should be getting something maybe before Wednesday or no later than Wednesday. There will be another Pro Wrestling Crate review for you guys. I'm actually very pumped, very ecstatic for that one. Now, I did not get to see the pre-show. Sadly, I did not see the pre-show. A little bit bummed out I didn't see it, but I was tied up with some great NFL action. I will dive into all of the NFL talk on this week's RCWR show, but I was tremendously disappointed because when it was all said and done, none of my teams won this Sunday. I was greatly disappointed. My Patriots did not win. My Cowboys did not win. Some would say, well, what about your Redskins? I don't particularly care for the Redskins. That's my family that cares for the Redskins. So they definitely were happy. I'm like, it is what it is. So I gotta actually go back, and I'm thinking about all the teams that I follow every year. So now I gotta go back and see if any of them had one. But like the main ones that I really love that I just named, they didn't win this weekend. So I'm kind of, what the hell. But I was busy watching the Patriots take on the Steelers, and what a great game that was. So that pretty much took up my whole hour of the pre-show. So sadly, I did not get to see that one. We did have 2 pre-show matches. Our first one, it was Buddy Murphy retaining the Cruiserweight Championship over Cedric Alexander. Our next pre-show matchup, we had Elias. He defeated Bobby Lashley. That was a ladder match. Remember, there was a guitar that was suspended above the ring. First to retrieve it was declared the winner, and they can pretty much go to town on their opponent in that one. So out of those 2 matches, I gotta say, for what Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander have been able to do as of late, I really wish that match in particular would have made it to the actual pay-per-view card. Now, some people may say, nah, Lee, it really should have been Elias. And no, on the contrary, because Elias is going to get the attention and all that regardless. I don't like the fact that he is continuing to be paired up in this program with Lashley. I wish the man could be separated from this as soon as humanly possible, because I'm just not feeling it. I feel, if anything, it's kind of bringing my man's stock down just a bit. But if anything, if I had to pick between the 2 matches on what should actually have made it to the card, I would go with Murphy Alexander. That honestly should have made it to the pay-per-view card. Now, if you were to put a stipulation out there to me, well, Lee, okay, but you got to trade off. You can have that one on the actual pay-per-view, but you got to cough up a match that's on the card and put it in its place on the pre-show. Which one would you go with? And honestly, looking at it, I would have went with the triple threat tag team match for the SmackDown tag titles. I would have put that on the pre-show in place of the Cruiserweight Championship match. That's just me personally, to each its own, but that's just me personally. Actual pay-per-view card, we go. Remember, I was teasing the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble for the female side. All right, well, our first matchup, and really, WWE, God, honestly, what they should have done, they should have let this matchup also be a pre-show as well. This should have been a setup going into the actual pay-per-view card, to the point, if you really stop and think about it, you wouldn't have even had to take away the triple threat match for the SmackDown tag titles, when all you could have done was just go, okay, we're going to do Elias, Bobby Lashley for the pre-show, and then pretty much last 15 minutes of the show, we're going to have the Mixed Match Challenge Finals, and pretty much set up your pay-per-view, and then let the Cruiserweight Championship kick off the actual pay-per-view. That would have made a lot of sense. But no, instead, we get the Mixed Match Challenge Finals that kicks off the TLC pay-per-view. And for me, it was like, oh, all right, let me go walk the dog. Let me go make a sandwich or something, because this, honestly, I'm excited, I'm pumped up, I'm ready for the pay-per-view, right? And this is what I get. I get shucking and jiving coming on out of the ring, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't. But you know what? God bless R-Truth. And I sincerely mean that, because I did watch the match for what it was worth, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was pretty much a quick cup of coffee, right? Instant coffee. Just add some hot water and you're pretty much good to go. Not the traditional hot coffee. But God bless R-Truth. I mean, this guy is going to be turning, get this, 47. He's going to be turning 47 in January. and he is still able to go in that ring, and he can still throw it down like he's in his late 20s going into his early 30s. I mean, the man can still throw it down. And I'm telling you, his cardiovascular, his overall in-ring shape, his endurance, that is something that has just continued to amaze me throughout the years. But I don't know, for some weird reason tonight, my eyes, I guess to kind of pull a couple of lyrics from Edge's song, "On This Day, I See Clearly," right? I know it was one of those situations where I really just took a step back and said, wow, R-Truth is really, really pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good in that ring. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know some guys are probably like, duh, Lee, duh, but no, like for some reason, just tonight, just seeing him on the offense, I'm just going, wow, this guy is... And then I had to really take a step back and say, well, damn, I've been watching R-Truth for, God, a couple of decades now. How old is this guy exactly? And I had to do the math before I even looked it up. And I'm saying to myself, well, last I remember, okay, maybe he's about 44, 45 or something like that. No. I did him kindness. No, he's going to be 47 in January. So, I mean, if that isn't a testament to taking good care of your body and making sure that you're getting all your necessary exercise, nutrients, all of that, if R-Truth is not a testament to, hey, this is where good health can get you when you really take care of your body well, then I don't know what to tell folks, quite honestly. But we saw the team of R-Truth and Carmella. They had won the Mixed Match Challenge Finals against Alicia Fox, Jinder Mahal. So as a result of them winning, each member of the winning team became the 30th entrant of their respective Royal Rumble matches at the 2019 Royal Rumble. And of course, there was a bonus to that, which is they got to have a vacation anywhere for a whole week. They got to do a nice little vacation anywhere that they wanted to go. So I don't know the name of the young girl. It wasn't Charlie Caruso. It's a young black girl, not JoJo. I think the girl's name is Braxton or something like that. She grabbed a microphone and was talking to them and asking them, okay, so have you guys decided, where are y'all going to be going? Where are y'all going to be spending your vacation? And just when Carmella was going to make the announcement, R-Truth had actually grabbed a microphone and he said, oh, no, I've been thinking about this for a long time and I got it. I know exactly where we're going to be going. You're going to love it. And Carmella's just like, yeah. And it's revealed that the vacation is going to be in Stamford, Connecticut at the WWE headquarters. And you're just going, wah. Now you're like, oh, man. And Carmella just looked like, dude, tell me you are not fucking serious right now. We're actually going to be spending our vacation in Stamford, Connecticut. Like, seriously? Just the look of disappointment on her face. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it tremendously. That pretty much was it. That was that match in a nutshell. Moving on to some more serious action here. The Bar, they retained the SmackDown Tag titles against New Day. Representing New Day was Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods as they had took on the Usos. That was your triple threat match. Was okay. I mean, honestly, it kind of came off not really of a pay-per-view caliber type of match. It really just kind of came off like a SmackDown filler, give or take. And I think what really kind of hurts when you stop and think about it, and I wish that in the coming year going forward, it's something that we can actually work on a bit better, WWE. It's a good challenge to you guys. I would like to see a scenario happen where leading up to a pay-per-view, we don't keep seeing matchups. You understand what I'm saying, guys? You don't see a situation where, well, this week one half of the Usos is going to take on one half of the New Day and one half of the Bar, or next week it's you know, well, let's make tensions fly. Well, you're going to team up with this person and you're going to team up with, and you guys got to try to make it work. You know, I would like to see as little interactions as possible leading up to a pay-per-view. I mean, I don't mind the whole promo segments. I don't mind that, where they're facing off and they're talking the hot game, basically doing the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. I don't mind that, right? That's what you got to do to get asses in the seats, get them to come to the arena, order that pay-per-view, right? Call their cable satellite provider or get the network. I don't mind that whatsoever, but it just seems like this traditional formula that is so it's predictable and it's blah, you know, it's got to stop. They got to shake up the system just a little bit, and maybe we all could have been a little bit more invested into this matchup, right? But closing moments of this one for the triple threat for the SmackDown tag titles, we had Cesaro. He got sent out to the floor by the Usos. Meanwhile, Kofi, he leaps from the top rope, connected with a nice, pretty splash on all 3 members as Big E was looking on. Sheamus, Woods, they are the ones that's legal in the ring. Woods kicks Cesaro away from the apron, and Woods then would try to enter through the ropes, but Sheamus connected with a bro kick to pick up the W. Yeah, that's pretty much how that one had wrapped up. So, I mean, it was a nice little SmackDown matchup, but you know, I honestly, that's why I said what I said. I actually would have preferred it if that would have been part of the pre-show. Got a couple more matches to get into. Actually looking at the rest of the card right now. We're going to blaze through this as quickly as possible. I promise you guys, but I do want to take this time out and recognize some of our sponsors, because without their kindness, shows like what you're checking out right now would not be free. So we definitely appreciate them, their love and support as always. First off, shout out to my good friend, my man Tony Bing. Hey, for those of you that love playing Marvel Strike Force on iOS and on Android, I know I do. Oh, love that game. It's going through some growing pains right now, though, because we got this whole Red Star system that's been implemented, and a lot of people kind of feel as though it's the death of the game. A lot of people are being very vocal, and they want to see things be restructured, but you got a majority of fans that are still, like myself, been playing this game since launch, some since the beta process, that are riding this out, still getting a lot of an enjoyment out of the game. You know, with the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie that's out right now, we've got the not Miguel O'Hara, Miles Morales Spider-Man that you can play as in Marvel Strike Force. But Tony Bing, I want you guys to hit him up on YouTube for all things related Marvel Strike Force, whether it comes to latest in news, gaming updates. Maybe you need some help with figuring out which characters you should invest in to try to overtake certain campaigns, blitz modes, raids, all of that. Tony Bing is the man. Look him up on youtube.com, Tony Bing Gaming, and you can also support him on patreon.com, same name, Tony Bing Gaming. Also, while you are in a gaming mode, check out my man K-Dog is 618 on YouTube. K-Dog 618 on YouTube. If you love gaming clips, all things military, check out K-Dog 618, youtube.com/KDAWG 618, K-Dog 618. Also, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by ElevatedStash.com. ElevatedStash.com for all of your smoking accessories, my pretty babies. I don't care what you smoke. I ain't got nothing to do with that. But if you're having a hard time finding some really cool kick-ass smoking accessories, ElevatedStash.com is the place you want to go. They offer some really good tier packages. Basically, you pick, it's like Pro Wrestling Crate. Think Pro Wrestling Crate, right? But you pick out your accessories, your theme, and all that other cool stuff. And every single month, you get like a really cool crate. nice cool items, and you don't have to worry about, oh man, are they going to get their money? They will automatically take the money from your credit card, checking account, same time, every single month, right? And the really cool thing about elevatedstash.com is that this website, this company, is operated from those that served in the military. And they make sure that a good chunk of all profits that are made at elevatedstash.com goes towards charity. So whether it is Wounded Warrior Project, Meals on Wheels, or maybe the American Red Cross, you know, your money's going to really good causes. Toys for Tots, your money's really going to really good causes. So do keep them in mind for all of your smoking accessories. It doesn't just have to be the puff puff pass. It could be cigars and all that other stuff. Whatever you smoke, that's your business. All right, we'll get into some more shout outs in a little bit. Let's continue on, talk about some more of these matches that came about. Braun Strowman taking on Baron Corbin. This was a tables, ladders, and cheers match. Remember that if Baron Corbin wins this, then he becomes the new permanent Raw general manager. However, if somehow he loses, well, then he's out of a job, off the break. So Baron went into this really under the impression that he was going to be winning this via forfeit because of the damage that he, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre did to Braun Strowman a couple of weeks back on an episode of Raw. As we had saw with the photographs, Braun getting some surgery done and everything. So you're going, all right, well, so much for Braun. But seriously, did anybody actually think that Braun Strowman was not going to be showing up for this match? I'm just really curious. I mean, be honest with yourselves. How many of you honestly thought that Braun Strowman was not going to show up at this pay-per-view? I mean, I smelled this a mile away. And see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you've been watching wrestling for a long period of time, it doesn't have to be per se WWE. It could be Impact Wrestling or whatever your favorite wrestling promotion is. When you've watched them for at least 2 years or more, you get a feel just from that booking standpoint. Okay, just the way this is kind of going. All right, well, my gut instinct is saying that this is the direction they're going to go. If it were me, I'd like to go in this direction, but I feel that the way the writing has been so far, it's going to go in this direction. You don't have to be a freaking wrestler or somebody that used to work in the wrestling business. You don't have to be somebody that could kick back and look at this and smell from a mile away that Braun was going to be showing up to this match. All right, anybody that wants to brag that, you know, oh, hey, you know, this was nothing to really be bragging about. It really wasn't. Enough said. But this match, I thought they booked it smart from the standpoint of Braun Strowman. He did show up. The referee for this match was Heath Slater. Braun Strowman, he shows up. Corbin's thinking this was it. Corbin thought he was going to be winning automatically via forfeit. He did not think that Strowman was going to be showing up. But Strowman did, and he grabbed a microphone and he said, hey, you forget that this match that we're having, it's a TLC match. So pretty much anything goes. There is no disqualification. So that means that if a certain person who's pretty pissed off at you and is tired of your crap wants to do a little something, they can do that. And so I'm paraphrasing what Strowman said, but basically we see the camera kind of pan over to Heath Slater, and Corbin's looking at Slater like, nah, man, don't you do it. And, you know, we basically see Corbin, he kind of realizes at this point, kind of not really liking where this is going exactly. Maybe I should kind of piggy on back a bit. And then just around all sides of the ring, we see the likes of Finn Balor. We see Apollo Crews. we see Chad Gable, Bobby Roode, all of these guys, they've got steel chairs in their hands. And Corbin is just, what the hell? What the hell is going on here? And eventually these guys, they all climb up into the ring at the same time. And they get in there and they start whacking. The way that they were whacking Baron Corbin, I can't think of the name of the game. And I don't want anybody to say Hungry Hippos. But there was some game I remember where, as a kid, you had like this little mallet. And you had to like... I don't know if it was gophers, beavers that were sticking their head up, but you had to like whack them. It just seemed like they were playing that type of game with Baron Corbin. It's like you see him try to get up, just whack him, and whack-a-mole basically. Eventually we saw Corbin, after he took a couple of shots to the body from steel chairs from all of those guys, somehow he managed to escape. Keep in mind, Heath Slater, he took his referee shirt off. He actually had got him a little piece of Corbin as well. We're thinking that maybe Corbin is going to forfeit this. He's going to haul ass, run for the hills. We hear the music of one Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle looking very well rested. Has a little bit of a beard stubble going on since last we had saw him. It's a full beard, but it's not... it's complete, but it's not really full and thick just yet. But you can't miss it. It's definitely there. Looks pretty damn good on him. I like it. I like it a lot. I remember when he was in TNA, he had some stubble going on, but I didn't like how he looked back then because he looked as though he stopped working out. And I know that was a pretty bad period in his time. I'm sure he would admit that because he did have those dark periods in his TNA days. But he looked pretty well rested here. Came on out. He had a steel chair in hand, whacking the hell out of Baron Corbin. Baron eventually comes on back into the ring, where pretty much from there, everybody just starts doing their finishers. Everybody just starts doing all their crazy spots onto Corbin, and pretty much things end with Strowman putting his foot over a passed out Corbin after he got his ass handed to him. Heath Slater puts his shirt back on, counts the 1, counts the 2, and the 3. Baron Corbin wins as a result. I'm sorry, I said Baron Corbin wins. I'm sorry, guys. Braun Strowman wins. And as a result of that, that is it for your man Baron Corbin, at least for now. So, with Braun Strowman winning, he now has a date with Brock Lesnar at the 2019 Royal Rumble pay-per-view event for the WWE Universal Championship. And on a side note, I really feel as though I think Braun is finally going to get the title away from Brock Lesnar. I would be shocked if this goes a bit further. I would be shocked if Lesnar continues to hold on to that title. But I'm just really getting the impression now, with the way things are kind of shaping up, that Braun, I mean, out of 100%, if you ask me where my confidence level is right now, with Braun Strowman coming out as champion, I feel as though I'm at 80% that Braun is going to get the title at Royal Rumble. Now, some of you may say, well, what exactly does this mean for WrestleMania? And what about the rumblings that Seth Rollins is maybe trying to be that guy to take on Brock Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania? Because after all, come on, let's be honest, we've been hearing those rumblings off and on for the past couple of weeks. So, it's... I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's a very interesting dilemma that we got going on right here. And I'll tell you what, I think when we get Monday Night Raw in less than 24 hours, we're going to have a really good sense of where things are going to be going as far as the Royal Rumble goes. I mean, when you just look at the current story arc, let's all take a step back. Let's look at the current story arc. All right, so Braun Strowman gets laid out by Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin. So he's already got his revenge on Baron Corbin. So now you take Baron Corbin out of the equation. If you're doing that check-off list, it makes all the sense in the world that the next victim for Braun Strowman is Bobby Lashley. And then eventually you make your way to Drew McIntyre. This is on the road to the Royal Rumble. I'm looking at these as kind of tune-up matches, if you will. But then when you go to the actual Royal Rumble event itself, I mean, on the one hand, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you have Lesnar retain the title. If you have Lesnar retain the title, then definitely it's safe to say that Lesnar's going to be there at WrestleMania with that title. And the question becomes, well, who the hell is Lesnar going to drop the title to? Now, I don't know about you guys, but to continue to hear the rumblings that Seth Rollins could be the guy to be sliding on in there, I like Seth Rollins. I like what's been happening with this young man as of late. I really, really do, with the whole burn it down, all that. But if I gotta be honest, that match doesn't exactly intrigue me. I'm not really sure why. Maybe some of you guys can help me out on social media, but it doesn't really excite me. You know, I really feel as though, no, come on, let's give it to the guy that has been busting his ass, done everything that's been asked of him, in Braun Strowman. Seth has had more than one opportunity now. Let's go with somebody fresh. Let's go with somebody that the fans are actually behind. But you know that old saying, what we want and what we end up getting, that's two different things. So that's kind of a to be continued, but I think we'll have a better idea where things are going to be come Monday night. Now, look, I would imagine Braun Strowman is probably going to come out, beg to Vince McMahon, say, hey, look, you know, the odds were stacked against me. It was an unfair match, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that, right? But when it's all said and done, Vince McMahon, you know, and we have to segue into this because I know a lot of people are wondering, Lee, what do you think? What do you think is going to go down with Monday's Raw? I'm not going to go into the whole spiel, but the bullet points, you know, if it's me booking this show, what I would like to see happen. Well, one, Vince McMahon is going to fire Baron Corbin. And the fact that they've attached the Raw show sucking, the ratings of Raw being on a decline, viewership on the decline, all that, and the fact that they've put a nice pretty little ribbon around that and they've basically attached it to Baron Corbin and are pretty much using him as the scapegoat, if you will. Yeah, his day, there's no way he's going to be able to, I don't see that happening, all right? So yes, Baron is officially fired. Now, as far as, okay, well, what's next? Kurt Angle just slides on in there and he gets his job? No, on the contrary, I don't think that's even going to be the case. I think if anything, Kurt Angle may serve as a assistant Raw general manager, a commissioner, if you will, or something of that nature. I think he's going to be a advisor, if you will. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Yeah, we will see him in some in-ring action from time to time, right? But I think he's still going to be a executive, kind of behind-the-scenes type of guy, really helping out the Raw GM. But I think Vince McMahon will be announcing a new Raw general manager. And I talked about this on the show a couple of months back. I said, well, now that things have pretty much patched up between he and WWE, don't be too surprised if, and I think the direction that we're probably going to go in, Hulk Hogan is probably going to be announced as the new Raw general manager. And when you kind of take a step back, it makes a lot of sense. Everything that they've been doing with the Hulkster so far, Hulkster being very vocal about how, you know, they've worked out a new deal and all the PR stuff, all the recent venues, WWE venues that the Hulkster has popped up at. Hulkster seems to be back in good graces with the WWE. all about the timing. I think this would be beneficial to both parties. One, Hulk Hogan, he reestablishes his brand even more, right? Viewership might not be what it used to be, but he is reestablishing his brand even more now than ever, now that he's back weekly on live TV. And he just may give a little bit of a bump, just a little bit of a bump to segments and things of that nature. I think right now what you need is somebody that the fans definitely respect, someone that definitely commands authority, someone that has that mindset of a wrestler. When you just look at it from a storyline standpoint, good businessman, all that stuff, you could definitely slide in a guy like the Hulkster in there. I would not be surprised if Vince McMahon names the Hulkster. So be on the lookout for that. I've talked about that off and on the show over the past several months. I kind of let it cool down a bit over, I would say, the last 3-4 months. But that's what I'm looking out for. You know, if this was really a shakeup, I would like to believe that there are going to be people, writers, that are going to be fired. I would like to believe that it's going to be a Vince Russo moment where we're listening to you all, we're hearing the feedback, and we promise we're going to be taking this show, we're going to be shaking things up, we're really going to do a better job in listening to you all, we're hearing your feedback. But yeah, if you ask me, in cold honesty, it really feels like this is a situation where, in case of emergency, as that's how history has shown itself, in case of emergency and the ratings are in the shit can, you just break this glass and you just pull this lever. It's the Vince McMahon call button, and wherever you need him to be, he'll be there, and hopefully it works out. So I'm going into this with an open mind, but forgive me if I say I told you so. Moving on, let's keep going with some more matches here. Natty defeating Ruby Riott, tables match. You know, when you look at it on paper, you look at the story arc, what Ruby Riott did, breaking Natty's dad's shades, then coming out with the fat head on the wooden table. And I still can't believe that there are still some people, and I was checking this out on my Twitter feed, there were actually still some people that were crying over the fact that Jim the Anvil Neidhart was put on the table. People were actually looking at this and finding it tasteless, finding it disgusting. I'm going, you guys know nothing about pro wrestling, because this is the type of stuff that would happen back in the day. This is the type of stuff that would happen back in the day in order to help get a feud, a rivalry over. I mean, you guys think this is bad. I mean, my God, I'm still reminded of the situation that had came down where I think it was Fritz Von Erich, where he had faked having a heart attack at one of the goddamn shows, and for his promotion, and people were sending in letters, condolences, all that. I mean, they were really heartbroken over what happened. And when it was revealed that, no, he really didn't have a heart attack, he didn't have a stroke, that was just for the sole purpose of TV, getting the rivalry over and everything, people were so disgusted, they were pissed off. I mean, yeah, it was a fucking witch hunt. It was really bad. But this is something that has been happening since the test of time. I remember when Eddie Guerrero passed, you know, they pretty much immediately did a bit of a story arc afterwards. I'm sure that if it wasn't for the tragedy that went down with the Benoit murders, I'm sure that some type of a story arc would have came about, you know. But, and shout out to Natty, because Natty had recently gave an interview. I wish I knew who I could give the credit to, but I can't, where she said that if her dad were still alive, as far as what's going on with this feud with her and Ruby, if he would approve of how he's kind of being remembered and how they're going about they being the WWE is going about using his name and his likeliness. She said, you know, I think he honestly would be really cool with it. I think he would be having a ball. He would probably be bringing up some of his own cool ideas into it to hype it up even more. And yeah, because he's from that old school. He has that old school mindset. He's from that. I mean, come on, we've seen some really WTF moments in wrestling history. Kane with Katie Vick. Triple H getting it on with a corpse. Well, he had the Kane mask on. Of course, Big Show, Big Boss Man, at Big Boss Man's dad's funeral, you know, borrowing from a real life event and playing off of it. I mean, we've seen this happen time and time again in history. So the fact that people were just getting all bent out of shape over it still, I kind of find that to be very amusing. But, you know, with regards to Natty taking on Ruby Riott, Natty's always been one of my favorites. Always been one of my favorites. That's why it really pains me to be in a position where, okay, well, I don't want to talk negative, especially when it comes to Natty, because I've watched Natty. I feel like I've grown up watching Natty as a fan. But, you know, for me, this feud I really was not invested into this. I think the feud kind of came about way too late. I really do, because if there was ever a time to go into something like this, it should have been while the iron was still hot. It should have been while the fans were still right there in the palm of WWE's hands and the palm of Natty's heart and hands. That would have been the time to really go into this and build off of that heat. Now, some of you guys may say, Lee, that's some cold shit, brother, that you're putting out there. I countered that by saying, look how fast that they were able to do what they did with Dean Ambrose turning on Seth Rollins. And it's basically the same night that freaking Roman Reigns announces that he has leukemia. And you remember how that had pretty much ended. And Dean Ambrose, I mean, the most vilified man going into the next day on social media. So, same rules could have easily applied with Natty, Ruby Riott, but for whatever respected reason, it wasn't cast. And then, not for nothing, but Natty also did take a little bit of time off, right? She did take a little bit of time off to grieve, make the funeral arrangements, things of that nature. Understandable. But for me, I really feel as though the boat kind of sailed, so to speak, especially when Natty had came back. You know, she's partnering up with different people and she's coming out smiling and, you know, all chippery and all that, like nothing ever happened. So I think when you really get down to it, the timing was just really, really off for this matchup. And then the other thing, Ruby Riott, always a pro. Always a pro. Out of all the women that I've seen that's come on the roster within recent years, Ruby Riott, I mean, you can really tell that she is the glue that holds that Riott squad together. You take her out of it, and those girls, sadly, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, they really don't thrive. I hate to say that, but that's the honest truth. She really does hold them together. And Ruby Riott, I mean, she knows how to tell a story to the point. She goes in there and she puts it all on the line physically. And I really did not see that same reciprocation from Natty to Ruby Riott tonight. I would have to say that as long as I've been watching Natty, this was one of her... I'm just going to throw it out there. I got to be honest. I'm trying to find the right words, but I'm not going to hold back. It was one of her less memorable matches. Yeah, I really wasn't feeling where she was coming from offensively. It just, for me, it just wasn't clicking. It just wasn't. You know, here are these girls that all took part in dishonoring her dad's memory and breaking the shades. And, you know, I should be excited to see Natty somehow get her hands on Liv Morgan and put her through a table, but I'm not. I should be excited when she finally gets her hands on Sarah Logan and puts her through a table, but I'm not. I should be excited when Natty pulls out a customized Ruby Riott fat head on a table and she's able to send Ruby Riott crashing through that very table, but I'm not. I think the timing, when it comes right down to it, it's all about the timing. It really is. And you could tell from the crowd, as we had this pay-per-view event at the SAP Center, the crowd wasn't really into this. They really, they tried to tolerate it for both women, but you could tell that they really were not totally heavily invested into this. And it really showed, sadly. It really did. Let's go to our next matchup. Finn Balor taking on Drew McIntyre, singles match. Guys, interesting matchup. This was an interesting matchup. Once again, and even I cannot ignore this now. I was a bit on the fence. I've been hearing people say a few things about Drew McIntyre, and this has been the theme. Drew McIntyre, he's not connecting with the crowd. And when I first heard that, I'm going, I'm not really sure. Let me kind of take a step back and really, like, what? And then my mind is expanded even more. Okay, well, interact. What do we mean? What, he's not playing ping pong with the fans? He's not bouncing off of them. Like what's going on? And I gotta agree, after seeing this match tonight, I have to agree with a lot of you all that feel how you feel with Drew McIntyre. However, I do think what's currently going on with Drew McIntyre, it is manageable. It is fixable. I will admit that. Now, here's where I have an advantage over others with regards to watching Drew McIntyre. I remember a very different Drew McIntyre that was down in Impact Wrestling. And for those of you that faithfully watch Impact Wrestling, you see where I'm going. But I remember a Drew McIntyre that was very interactive with the fans. That was his whole gimmick. He would go into the crowds and, he would interact with them and talk about how, hey, the fans don't want this. They want real wrestling. They want wrestling that matters. And I remember there was a Drew McIntyre that was not talking to those in attendance. There was a Drew McIntyre that was interacting. He was talking at them. And whatever they were saying, he was responding back, and he was very playful with them from that standpoint, and he thrived very well in Impact Wrestling, I personally felt. And what I'm seeing from Drew McIntyre right now, does he have the look? Yes, he has the look, no doubt about that. How is he in the ring? Yes. I mean, I'm being consistent here. I've always had a soft spot for Drew McIntyre. Always. I mean, he is a good-looking, tall son of a bitch. He is. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten the opportunity to see Drew McIntyre in person, but God, he is tall. He is very tall and very wide. And when you look at him, you're going, money. That's money. I smell money. So there is good money revenue-making opportunities with a guy like Drew McIntyre, but the real question is, can this guy really get over? And what I saw with my own eyes and ears tonight, it was like night and day. Finn Balor comes out, and yeah, you know what? For all the bland personality that Finn Balor may have, hey, yeah, he comes out, he pops the fucking collar, but you know what? The crowd's into him. He's another guy that really does not interact with the crowd. He doesn't. And don't tell me about the whole, clap on, clap off. Don't tell me what he does with the lights. That's not interacting with the crowd as far as I'm concerned. But there is undeniably a connection that Finn Balor has with the crowd. Not so much so with Drew McIntyre. it's a very interesting dynamic, but it is fixable. It is fixable. I think WWE, if I'm booking Drew McIntyre, honestly, you gotta go to the Elias playbook. You gotta go to what was really working for Elias. Elias, man, he could have a really white hot crowd, and they're saying whatever. His concentration is not being broken. He is saying what he needs to say, but at the same time, he's keying in on certain things that people are saying to him in attendance, and the venom that they're putting out there, he's giving it right back to them, and he's owning their ass every single time, right? And so I'm not sure who's in charge of writing the stuff for Elias, but whoever is, I would like to see that same treatment that Elias was getting up until when they kind of made him a tweener in recent weeks. I would like to see them apply that same emphasis on Drew McIntyre, and I believe that you can kind of fix him up a little bit that way. The way this is kind of looking right now, it's almost kind of safe to say that you know, whether some of you guys like it or not, I think one thing that we can definitely say for certain, Drew McIntyre is going to be the heel on Raw for quite a while. He is going to be that main antagonist. And I stand firm. I smell money with a guy like Drew McIntyre, to the point I see him, whether some people like it or not, I see that kid becoming a future world heavyweight champion. I see it happening in his future. I mean, honestly, good looking kid like that, face of your company, PR standpoint, I would have no problem with that. You know, I've seen him give interviews and everything, and I've seen him in suits, and he looks pretty damn good. He's right up there with a Nick Aldis. He's right up there with him. Magnus, as I remember him as. So this matchup, though, can we get back to this matchup? Only got a couple more matches to talk about, then we're pretty much wrapping it up. Looking at my notes here, looking at how this match had played up here. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Okay, so yeah, key moments, final seconds of this matchup. We had saw Dolph Ziggler come in from behind, from the crowd, drops Drew McIntyre at ringside with a super kick. Ziggler then tries to bring a steel chair into play. McIntyre had already recovered at that point, pretty much kicked that steel chair into Ziggler's face. McIntyre then tries to bring that same steel chair into the ring. Balor kicks it back to him, goes for the top, hits his finisher, the coup de grace, gets the pin that way. Backstage segment, we actually had saw Balor. I believe he was giving post-match reactions or whatever, and we see Ziggler. He pops up. He's like, "Hey man, you're welcome." And Balor's like, "Hey, talking about welcome, I didn't need your help out there. Matter of fact, do me a favor, stay out of my business next time." And we see Ziggler pretty much take a cheap shot at him, and you're going, well, so much for Ziggler being a face, right? I mean, one minute we're thinking it's the face, okay, now he's the heel, and all right, getting a headache just thinking about that. Let's keep going. Rey Mysterio took on Randy Orton. Cheers match. Pretty okay matchup. I wish this match would have lasted a little bit longer, actually. I actually enjoyed the story that they were trying to tell. But it didn't last that long, sadly. It was only about maybe 10 minutes, roughly. Take away the entrances. Closing moments of this one, Orton had looked to try to connect with try saying that 10 times fast. A RKO. That brings me to another point with my fumbles tonight. Not that many, doing pretty good tonight, but I definitely got to give some love to the commentators. I didn't forget you commentators. I got you guys in a hot second. Maybe after we get done talking about this matchup, we can go there. We saw Randy Orton. He tried to look for his trademark RKO onto a line of chairs that was set up in the ring, but Rey managed to kick them out of the way. Rey ended up sending Randy into the chairs face first. That actually ended up causing him to sit upright. Rey would then leap at Orton, take him down with his legs and basically turned it into a 2 count, or rather a 3 count for the pin and the victory. Randy Orton looking on pretty damn pissed off at what happened there. Randy Orton, venom just foaming out of his mouth, and ice cold water in his veins, looking on at freaking Rey Mysterio as Rey just take the money and run, brother, run. You know, side note, can I get to the commentators? I'm gonna get to the commentators with regards to Ambrose and Rollins. I think that's the perfect way to get into them. Let's keep going here. Ronda Rousey taking on Nia Jax. Ronda Rousey retaining the Raw Women's Championship. Good matchup. Ronda Rousey had made Tamina tap out via armbar submission. Great matchup. Can I be candid with you guys? You know, it sucks that we're still getting a lot of crap coming the way of Ronda Rousey. It sucks that we don't have more and more people that are really just watching her and really appreciating the evolution, the strides that she's continued to make, being an overall better in-ring performer. You know, making this type of transition, it's not for everybody. Not everybody is gonna come out on top smelling like roses. And I put this out on Twitter, and you can see the timestamp and everything, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I basically said, for as long as I've seen Ronda Rousey in the WWE, just when I think maybe I've seen her limitations, right? I've seen her maximum peak. She surprises me more and more with her continued evolution as a in-ring performer. And that really is a testament to her dedication in respecting the art form, in respecting those that came before her that have presented her with this opportunity to be an in-ring performer. And I gotta tell you, man, I really feel that she doesn't get the love and respect that she deserves. I really, really do. Amongst all the craziness that's going on, amongst all the stuff with the ratings this week, and why is the viewership down, and I'm not gonna watch this show anymore. You know, we lose track of the little things, and the little things is exactly what I'm talking about. And my hat's off to Ronda Rousey. Just continues every time I see her, whether it's Raw or it's at a pay-per-view. It just seems like she continues to get better and better and better. And you know, there was one spot that I really had loved, just when I thought, okay, as far as her arsenal goes, yeah, I've seen just about enough. She surprises me from a top rope high risk maneuver. She does a body splash off the top rope. Did not look sloppy doing it. I mean, she did it with such grace, great poise. I'm going, wow, Ronda, didn't know you had it in you, sister. All right, great. Nia Jax, you know, for all the praise that I just gave Ronda, I've also got to give praise to Nia, because Nia, I don't know what it is, and I told you guys this. You can easily go back and check it out. Over a couple of weeks ago, I said Nia Jax, when it comes to her and Ronda, Nia takes it to another level. She actually busts her ass. And I told you guys, look, for all the crap that you want to shit upon Nia, Nia is going to bring it with this matchup. Rest assured, she's going to bring it. Trust me on this. It's like, if you remember anything about the first matchup, and I put a challenge out there to you guys. I said, look, don't believe me, go back, watch the first go around that Ronda, Nia locked it up. To date, that was Nia's best performance as an in-ring competitor since she's been on the main roster. I said to you guys, look at that. And now you hear that these two are locking it up again. Nia's gonna bring it. And Nia did bring it tonight. She put more of a valiant effort than in the previous stuff that she's been doing, right? Over the course of, where you want to say, a couple of weeks, several weeks, couple of months, several months. not sure what it is, but it just seems like, oh, I'm working with who? And she just is excited, genuinely excited, and takes it to that. I don't know, maybe it's because she has the utmost respect in real life for what Ronda has done for women's MMA and, you know, what she's currently doing in the WWE. I don't know if there's that love and admiration and respect from that standpoint or what, but it just seems like Nia goes that extra mile with Ronda. I just wish Nia would be more consistent. It would be my only constructive criticism. I wish she would just be even, and maybe she is, you know, she might dare say, nah, I'm actually very consistent. She may say that, and that's her right. That's her right. I would stand corrected, but it just kind of comes off as though it's almost kind of pick and choose, so to speak. But I was quite pleased with both women, how they did this tonight. You know, this was really the story about who's going to get their finisher on who first. This was pretty much the main story that they were telling. You know, was the face breaker going to connect with that devastating punch? Was she going to lay out the women's champion and get another crack at being the women's champion? Or was Ronda gonna make this Samoan beauty tap out? And we saw the end result of it. I loved how Ronda has slapped on that armbar and she's looking directly at Tamina and she's like, you, and she's yelling at her, you look at this, you watch this. And she just is torquing the hell out of that arm. She torques it. And Nia did not last that long. Nia just pretty much tapping the hell out. You're like, A couple of segments went by. We see Nia. She's pretty much licking her wounds, crying and everything. I want to say Charlie Caruso maybe tried to catch up to her backstage, ask her a question. Nia wasn't having any of it. And then the next thing you know, you see Becky Lynch. She walks up to Nia and says something along the lines of, you remember what you said about me? Or you remember what you did to me a couple of weeks ago? And she just beats the crap out of Nia and says to her, keep my name up out your mouth. I mean, it was a nice straight up drive-by, like you got owned. It's like, stop talking shit. I love that. That whole shit was crazy, man. I love that. I think at this point we only got one more match to talk about, just looking at the rest of the card here, and I think we can pretty much now go there, because I wanted to bring up the color commentators, and I think we can go there. Oh no, we got two more matches. Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, singles match for the WWE title. Great match. Great fucking story. The match, oh my god, this is a tough one. I don't know if I want to... Yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say that the triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match for the SmackDown Women's title, I'm going to say that was the match of the night. But right up under it, if not tied, I'm going to say that the WWE Championship match between Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, I'm going to say that was freaking killer. That was freaking killer. Whoo, them guys tore it up, man. My God, a great technical matchup. Love the story that both men had told. And, you know, we got so distracted talking about other stuff on the shows these past couple of weeks. I really have not truly expressed my appreciation of this new demeanor that we've been getting from Daniel Bryan. I find it to be very refreshing. I'm heavily invested into this, and the timing of this is impeccable, because if there ever needed to be a new antagonist right now, especially on the SmackDown side of things, we really needed it desperately, because let's be honest, Nakamura, it just was not working out. And we saw what was going on with, what's his name? Rusev Day. Aiden English. It sucks that I had to go in order to remember his name. But yeah, Aiden English. You know, you're like, and then Andrade Cien Almas. You know, you're like, and it's just been... All right, where's that next? And Samoa Joe, love Samoa Joe. Fucking love Samoa Joe, but keeps getting injured, and it's heartbreaking. So it's okay, well, where's that new main antagonist going to be coming from? And the fact that it came from Daniel Bryan, it's very refreshing. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this run of his right now as a heel champion, nonetheless. And to have AJ Styles be chasing after him for the title, I'm equally loving that as well. But these two, great classic matchup. You know, I mean, it was kind of like part 2 of what they had did on SmackDown some weeks back, where Daniel Bryan shocked the world and became the champion. But at the same time, this kind of felt like, no, this is part 1. And I know that's kind of weird when you think about it, but it almost kind of seemed like what we got was... Well, it almost seemed like what we got with AJ and Daniel on SmackDown was a prelude. And that what we got tonight was chapter 1. If you really kind of stop and think about it, you'll definitely agree and see where I'm coming from. Closing moments of this matchup, Daniel Bryan has sent Styles to a barrier, then jumps over into the Timekeeper's area, AJ Styles that is. AJ would then come right back, connect with a forearm. AJ flies over the barrier, rocks Daniel Bryan with it. AJ takes the action back into the ring. He's able to get Daniel Bryan back in the ring in time before the 10 count. From there, we see AJ. He's up on the top apron outside of the ropes. He's now looking for the phenomenal forearm, but right as he launches himself and everything, we see that Daniel Bryan tries to push the referee into AJ. AJ manages to dodge the referee by going under. Or wait, I'm trying to think. Phenomenal forearm. No, Bryan tried to go under, basically. And AJ somehow manages to miss the referee. They had traded shots one more time. And then there was a roll-up that was initiated by AJ. And you're thinking, okay, AJ's got this. But then Daniel Bryan kind of uses the momentum, you know, the weight momentum shift in his favor, and the ref counts to 3, and that's pretty much how Daniel Bryan was able to retain that way. So pretty much a quick, you know, I would like to believe that, and I'm really surprised that we didn't get different camera angles, but I can't help but wonder, was AJ Styles back completely on the mat, or was a part of his back up? Was it a situation where the referee didn't see from his respective vantage point that, hey, the ref should not have called a 3, right? I mean, usually when you see something like this of a finish go down, there's a little bit of controversy involved. So I would like to believe that maybe there's some type of controversy here. We'll know on SmackDown, right? So I'm kind of looking keen at that right now. But if you were to ask me if these two are far from over, I definitely do not think that they are far from over. At this point, we got one more match to talk about. We're going to get there in just a hot minute. You guys been enjoying the show so far? Hope so. If you have, please make sure you do me a solid and leave that subscribe. Leave the interactions, man. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords the RCWR Show. And do consider being a Patreon member. Patreon members get exclusive access to bonus audio and video content. We were supposed to go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse today as part of a nice, relaxing weekend. I have forgot that there was a Christmas party. I couldn't attend it anyway because I had to do the pay-per-view tonight. So I'm actually going to be seeing the Spider-Man movie Monday morning, Monday afternoon. So I'm pretty excited for that. I mentioned that because Patreon members, you guys were actually supposed to get something this weekend. However, I totally messed up with the calendar, not really putting 2 and 2 together. So I'll be seeing it Monday. So we're going to do something for you guys on Patreon Monday. So be on the lookout for that. Should be pretty solid. Hey, can we get into a couple of more shout outs before we get ready to wrap it up? We were just talking about Patreon members. Do sign up. Patreon members get access to exclusive bonus audio content not going to be able to find anywhere else. Not to mention, you get access to our private chat server. Shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas, good buddy of mine, Wrestling Soup. Shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, Joe Raymond Jr. The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by 25cab.com. If you are a driver, you are getting sick and tired of being ripped off from companies like Uber and Lyft, if you believe that drivers should be able to keep 100% of all rideshare profits, then it's time for you to get up off that sofa, stop complaining, and join the revolution, the 25cab.com revolution. Learn more at 25cab.com. That's 25cab.com. The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is also brought to you in part by iPayTotal.com. iPayTotal.com. Orange Slice, a new and healthier way to quench your thirst that's bursting with flavor. Grab yourself a slice. I believe it is out now. Orange Slice. Also, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by OnlineLoans.deals. If you need help with student loan advice or consolidations, please check out OnlineLoans.deals. And my personal favorite, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by Savory and Well Seasoning. Great seasoning sets available at great affordable prices. Get yours today for not only a great deal, but I mean, with the holiday season, you know, we got Christmas upon us. That's usually when all the nice, good bulk of the meals comes on out. And I tell you what, depending on what you order set-wise, you get over 70 recipes with a ebook that'll really help you out. If you're a vegan and you know you don't like certain stuff and your spices and all that, I'm telling you, you want to check these guys out. Savory and Well Seasoning. Of course, all of these links you can check out in the episode description of this very episode that you are checking out right now. So we got one more match to talk about. Let's go ahead. Let's go there. End the show strong. Go out on a good note. And we'll revisit the poll one more time. See what you guys had to say about tonight's WWE TLC pay-per-view. By the way, we've got different polls that's up. YouTube, click on over the communities tab. We got the poll up asking, what did you guys think of tonight's WWE TLC? And on Twitter, we're asking the same question as well. All right, let's go ahead. Let's keep going. So we had the Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose match for the Intercontinental Championship. You know, I said to you guys a couple of months back, hey, looks like the way things are looking, these guys are going to be locking it up. And you know what? On paper, I'm sold. The fans really, God, this was about 25 minutes. Personally, I felt that this match went just a little bit too long. I felt maybe they should have trimmed this down to about 14 minutes. Yeah. Second of all, this probably, as long as I have been paying attention to Seth Rollins matches, this is probably one of the few times that people were not heavily invested into a Seth Rollins match. And I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure if it was a situation where the night has just been draining for these guys, because a lot of them started filing in a little bit after 6 o'clock and sitting there for all of those hours, the anticipation, they're ready to roll out. I'm not really sure if that's what really was kicking in. I would think not, because when it came to the women's match, I mean, they were lit. They were lit. So I take it for what it is. Maybe it's a situation because you had the Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles match. That drained the hell out of them. They were on that high. They were on that buzz. And then the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins match. Maybe because they are revisionist history, right? Maybe they're revisionists, right? They know their history. They remember seeing these guys lock up before. And I don't know what it is. I would like to be that that fly on the wall, or better yet, just talking to those that were in attendance, trying to get their feel exactly on what was going on. You know, why was the crowd pretty dead silent, you know, after maybe the first 10 minutes of this matchup. But it was a good match. It was definitely a good match, but the crowd just was not into this. And you would think that with everything that Dean Ambrose has been doing within recent weeks, right? He's supposed to be that heel. He's the one that you're supposed to hate. He is the one that you are supposed to be giving that heel heat to. He's the one you should be booing. We didn't get that with Dean Ambrose. The crowd in attendance was just indifferent. They were silent towards Dean Ambrose. And I think, again, you know, at one point I had my volume on mute because I was in the middle of a phone call and I had missed something. And I had tweeted, I said, wait a minute, like, what's going on? What is it that the crowd is not saying that, like, they should be saying? And it basically was, they're not chanting, this is awesome. They're not saying, you know, this rocks. They aren't saying anything. They're not even chanting, this is exciting. And that was like, wow, really? And for what I saw, the match was okay. A little bit too long, but the match was okay. I think when you factor in the wacky Dean Ambrose promos that we've been getting, I mean, one week he's getting shot up his ass, and then the next week he's got the Dark Knight Rises Bane Ambrose whatever going on. Culminate that with Renee Young. I don't know. Like, what the fuck do you know? Yeah, all of that just a big old clusterfuck, and then you're basically asking for Dean Ambrose to go out there and putting even more pressure on Seth Rollins. Hit a home run for us, because we tried, and what we got is pretty weak right now. All of those things, when you just add it up, you know, and it was so interesting because the way the match pretty much ends, we see Dean Ambrose. He's trying to do the fist pump. He's trying to do the brothers thing again. And freaking Seth Rollins, he pretty much is like, take your fist pump and shove it. You know, he beats the hell out of him, drops him on one knee, does the super kick to his face, all that. I mean, all that good stuff. Pretty much ends with Dean Ambrose eventually doing the dirty deeds just out of nowhere. He was working on Seth Rollins' knees for a good portion of the matchup, a very good portion. I gotta get on the comment, try saying that 10 times fast. I'm getting tongue-tied just like the damn color commentators were. I gotta get on them. Overall, I don't know what the fuck they were drinking throughout the broadcast or what they were drinking maybe the night before, but all of them were really off. I mean, look, it happens to the best. It even happens to those in radio land. It even happens to those in podcast land. But this was like one of those rarities, because anybody that's ever been to a WWE live event, in particular when it comes to your SmackDowns and it comes to your Raws, you will see these guys come out. They'll be chilling kind of like in a dim lighted area because they're not on camera, they're not saying anything or whatever, right? So it could be a dark match happening or whatever. They could be filming something and adding the color commentating later, maybe in Stamford, Connecticut or whatnot, right? And you will see these guys, they will be going through pages, they'll be interacting with each other, and they'll be going through pages and pages of pages. And then when it's time for them to do their thing, it's like, you know, they've already rehearsed, they know their lines, and they're pretty much there. Yeah, I know, right? The color commentators, they kind of have their bullet points on what they need to say. Yeah, not saying they got to memorize a whole freaking script like the talent, but they do have their points that they've got to make. And yeah, to an extent, they've got their creative freedom that they can play around with. But tonight, it really seemed like the color commentators, Renee Young, Corey Graves, Michael Cole, they were fumbling over each other. I mean, normally there is that smoothness, and boom, Corey jumps in, and boom, Michael jumps right back in there. And Renee Young, she's kind of getting the hang of her timing, but she's still a bit off. But Yeah. No, everybody was just, I mean, my God, the Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, David Otunga, because David Otunga was in for Byron Saxton, and they alluded to he's going to be out for the next couple of weeks. Hope everything's okay with him. But that team, the SmackDown team, I'll basically dub them, they were on point. But for some weird reason, Corey with Michael and Renee, they just were like, calm down, take a deep breath, have some of that Mountain Dew, ice, right? Everywhere I drip, ice, ice. Mingos and whoever that girl is. I love that song. That song was banging. Every time a basketball game comes on, they stay, you guys that love your NBA, they stay showing that damn commercial. Love that. Anyway, getting sidetracked. They were fumbling, but then there's a reason why I'm still homing in on the color commentating. So we go to this matchup, and I cringed because you see Dean Ambrose, and he's just laying it into Seth Rollins, and I can't remember exactly what Renee said, but she's showing sympathy towards Seth Rollins, and I'm going, why the fuck are you showing sympathy towards Seth Rollins? Seriously. You're married to Dean Ambrose. You sleep with this guy. You know what he's thinking. You know how he feels. You know why he's doing the things that he's doing. Why are you... No, you're supposed to be on your husband's side. Your job right now is supposedly to put over your husband. You're not exactly supposed to be a heel. You're supposed to justify the means of what your husband, Dean Ambrose, is doing. So let's stick to that, and let's have Michael Cole and Corey Graves play the sympathetic card towards Seth Rollins. So that was just like, Renee, I love you. Appreciated you for a good minute. You just need to be quiet during this one. Then there was another spot where, and my God, even Michael Cole was just baffled at the fact that she was saying this, and pretty much kind of checkmated her ass, and that made her be silent for a bit. We see the spot where Dean Ambrose, he does something to Seth, and Seth is on the ground for a bit, and Dean gets up and he goes, yeah, we laughing now? Huh? We're laughing now? And he's just rocking back and forth, and he stands up. We laughing now? And Michael Cole's like, wow, he's talking to himself. And Renee tries to justify this. She tries to say, oh, well, you know, people have been making fun of him and the ridicule that he's been going through. And Michael Cole goes, but Renee, he's talking to himself. That's the whole point. He's talking to himself. It's kind of like, what the fuck, Renee? Renee has nothing. So she's just silent after that. And it's kind of like, it's like, damn, Renee, you really messed that moment up. I mean, my God, bless Cole for trying to clean that up, but it's stuff like that. And I know some people feel the way that they feel about Corey Graves. I think when you get right down to the heart of the matter, some people feel that Corey Graves, I've seen enough of it, they feel he's an arrogant, smug little prick. You know, and that's really it. If you get right down to the gist of it, that's what a lot of people are saying about Corey. That's how they feel about him. And some of them, they just can't stand his tattoos. They just can't stand the look of him. But a lot of them just feel that he's a smug, little arrogant prick. Their words, not mine. Right? And a lot more people are very receptive to Renee within reason. Right? But tonight was, for me, her inexperience, her green behind the ears, as far as color commentating goes. Remember how I said a while back, I would love it if they gave Renee a little bit more rope, let her thrive, let her shine. I mean, come on, right? And each opportunity that she tried to take throughout the broadcast tonight, she was fumbling. I remember there was even, can't remember which match it was, but something about the dog, bigger bite, or whatever the fuck the line is, and she couldn't even get that right. Corey had to try to come in and clean that up. Very green. Very, very green. I'm still holding out hope for her. You know, she has always shown to me that she is a true professionalist, that she does care greatly about the craft. You know, I would like to say to people, you got to continue to have patience with Renee, but God, her color commentating tonight, I really could have just done without it. I would have preferred it if it just would have been a situation where Renee would have just offered color commentating for the women's matches. Quite honestly, I would have preferred it if it would have been a scenario like that, and let Otunga or Phillips or whoever go in her place for the other matches. So yeah, that one was just woof. That Renee, that was just really, really something else, man. Yeah, but you know, for me, you know, there was one spot there where I will justify her a bit. During that Rollins Ambrose match, there was one spot where she said, I tried to talk to Seth Rollins leading up to this matchup, but he's not talking to me. I guess that pretty much lets me know where my friendship stands with him, if there was ever one, you know. And you're going, okay, all right, Renee, that's kind of good. But then Corey Graves comes in and says, well, not for nothing, Renee, but I tried to talk to Seth as well, and I've known him during my entire career here in the WWE, and he's not even talking to me. You know, yeah, he's really in the zone right now. This match really means any and everything to him. So, you know, there was a couple of bright spots with her commentating, not just in that, but some spots early on, but really nothing memorable that really seals the deal for you that, okay, yeah, she's coming along just fine. If anything, it's, oh, sister's got a long ways to go. You know, it was nice hearing her finally say, hey, he's my husband, because it's, okay, well, we know this already. It was announced on an episode of Raw. You know, why are we kind of dancing around it? It was nice to finally hear her talk a little bit about, oh, so you do talk to Dean Ambrose at home. You do talk about the stuff that's happening in the ring versus, I don't know. I guess that got played out really fucking quick for the better. But these guys, you know, they had a good match, but I think it went on just a little bit too long. I really do. I think that just combined with all the wackiness that we've been getting from Ambrose the past couple of weeks, you know, it's kind of, I think what we saw tonight really just kind of sealed the deal of how fans feel about Dean Ambrose. I really do. If you really go back and you really look at this match and you really look at how people were really taking in Ambrose, it's amazing, isn't it? When you go back and you think about how WWE writers and Ambrose, how they had that lightning in the bottle when they did what they did with Ambrose that night and turning him on Rollins, and how just over the course of just only a small handful of episodes, they've pretty much broke all that down. They've pretty much burned it down, you know, when you really stop and think about it. Let's go to the polls as we get ready to wrap this edition of the RCWR show up, as we're almost clocking in at about an hour and 50 minutes. Let's first go to Twitter. We asked you guys, what did you think about tonight's WWE TLC pay-per-view event? We gave you a couple of options. Your options were as follows. So we gave you a thumbs up. We also gave you a thumbs down. We also gave you didn't watch but will, and we gave you didn't watch, skipping it all together. So right now I am seeing, this is interesting here. I'm looking at about, because I've got this in two different directions. I'm looking at about almost 50, a little over 50 votes. Looks like we got about a little over 80%. It's about 80% of you are giving it a thumbs up. About 15% of you are giving it a thumbs down. 7% of you did not watch it but will, and 14% of you didn't watch it. You're skipping it altogether. All right, let's go to YouTube and let's see what you guys are saying in the community chat here. All right, got this loading up. Almost the same reflection. Interesting. We got 22 votes on YouTube right now. We've got 82% of you that are giving it a thumbs up. 9% of you are giving it a thumbs down. 5% tie. There are those of you that did not watch but will. And we have did not watch and are skipping it. So very interesting results that we got so far. Please, if you have not voted yet, pick your, I won't say poison, that's just wrong. But have your pick. You can go vote Twitter, or you could vote on the YouTube channel. And once again, make sure if you have not reached out to me on Facebook and on Twitter about accessing our private chat server, make sure you get at me on social media. I'm trying to reach out to those of you that have been longtime listeners. Always cool in the chat. I'm trying to reach out to you guys. So guys like Gino, I'm just looking through here. Hang on a second here. Let's see who else we got here, because I can actually pull it up right now and I can tell you the ones I need to hear back from. Can I go here real quick? Let me look here. Trying to see if I can load it up here. I might not be able to. Let me see here. And if I can't load it up, that's fine. That's fine if I can't load it up. I don't think I can load it up. Let me look here. Yeah, I can't load it up. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Hang on. Yeah, nope. I thought I could load it up, but I can't. That sucks, because usually there's a section here that gives me oh, there it is. All right, so let me see here. Trying to see. Yeah, I've got to go back and look at the previous chats, but Gino is the main one. Gino, I'm going to try to see if I can reach out to you, buddy. But if you got the Twitter, Facebook, get at me, because that's pretty much how I've been doing. So, I mean, I've already put out the information for our Patreon members and also to close friends and family on Facebook. So, you got to bear with me as we kind of work out the kinks a little bit. Our private chat is much more intimate. It's cooler. We don't have to deal with the BS. And the really cool about the private chat, you know, we're talking trash in between the show. So I mean, that's the really cool part. So it's there and it's always active for everybody to participate in. So it's good stuff. All right, so hopefully, like I said at the top, we'll get a really memorable Monday Night Raw. It won't just be break this in case of emergency because, oh, Vince McMahon. Hopefully it's not going to be a situation like that. Hopefully things really will, in a Vince Russo type of way, get really shaken up to its core for the better. I would hate for a Band-Aid just to be wrapped around by, all right, some call-ups. I would hate for that type of a scenario to come about. So hopefully we will be all interacting with each other Monday night, really pleased. But don't say I didn't tell you. You know, don't say I told you so if you're receiving a letdown. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it goes, man. But I definitely will be interacting with you guys while Raw is on. So get at me on Twitter at the RCWR Show. And in the meantime, your next edition of the RCWR Show, while we're still talking about that, is going to be coming at you all on Tuesday, December the 18th, 2018. Wow. Can't believe December is almost in the books. One more time, if you enjoyed this episode, if you have not done so, please do subscribe. And in particular, if you're checking it out on YouTube, do hit the subscribe button, click on the bell notification, click on the like, and let me know what you had thought about the WWE TLC pay-per-view. Everybody, let me know what you thought about the TLC pay-per-view. And be sure to interact with me all throughout social media. And in the meantime, that is going to do it. So I'm wishing all of you all to be safe. And most importantly, please be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. For those of you waiting for this audio on demand and on the downloads, it should be available, honestly, I would say in about less than 30 minutes. So just give me an opportunity to clean it up and you guys should be good to go. That's going to do it. Catch you guys this Tuesday. Adios.